Hello, welcome to Human Animal Audit Corner. You Scientologists coming out of Scientology, there are people waiting for you at the Aftermath Foundation. Their number is press 1 first, 888-3002, and the UK Aftermath Foundation is at 10800 090. And the SPTV Foundation, you can get a hold of them at press 1 727-5797, and they will be there with monetary aid for you. But when you find your way out of Scientology. And now I am going to have another episode of Human Animal Audit Corner. This episode deals with treatment of animals. Scientology, as we all know, has a history of not only abusing people, they even have a history of abusing animals. Their animals, they actually use their animals to silence them. These abuses goes directly back to Hubbard himself when he introduced it in Dianetics in 1952. When he referenced it in the history of man, he would say it is another version of Dianetics. Well, those are his theories in life, whether it's people or animals. The world will never be the same again when he had issues of his own with animals. The way they treat people is horrible, but the way their treatment of animals is just literally so bad. But in La Cosa Nostra, their treatment of animals is really a weird one of its own. I mean, they are beyond weird. So, those guys are in fact very peculiar when they are around animals. They're either very hostile or very passionate towards them. But most of all, they would be notorious for using them for illegal activities such as gambling. Using these animals for those illegal activities is the most cruelest way for an animal to be treated when they are in those bloody sports or games. Either way, it's horrible. Scientology and their abusive practices would in the world as we seen is really horrible to the world. Everyone in the world has saw it when they were beating Confident Chris, not once, but twice. Once when Osa paid a street person to beat him up, and the second time is when one of the Scientologists picked up a phone that was literally out of the 80s and called a big guy in to beat him up yet again. Then there would be poisoning animals belonging to their victims in order to silence them. And these were former members that they are trying to silence. Osa is also capable of drawing a small animal to keep everyone quiet. Drowning their animals to keep them quiet. Where the Mafia would use animals for illegal activities such as cockfighting and dog fights. These animals would be set on fire in order to secure a contract. With people. Those dogs also lost an ear, tail, and their claws in these fights. And with their claws, they would actually pull them out or cut them off so the dog won't win any of the fights. They even suffer long-term side effects in that criminal organization due to these illegal gambling practices. Now, these two criminal organizations would use those poor animals to turn a profit. When Scientology uses tactics like those, it usually to treat their victim, to threaten their victims into silence. And if a mafia uses that tactic, it's usually to turn a profit and wouldn't care less if an animal lives or dies. La Cosa Nostra also uses crocodiles as weapons to get people to pay their debts that they owe them. If they don't, they would be fed to those crocodiles. They would even have they would treat breeding like it was a commercial business, and these dogs would end up suffering. And they are lacking veterinarian care for the mafia to save money. This happens when the female ovulates. This happens when the female ovulation period is aided through fertility techniques where the female is given hormones. When this happens, she would go into an induced heat cycle, or the breeder would and it gets to a point where it becomes dangerous to the female dog. And they would use other methods as artificial insemination. This would cause an infection, and that dog would be in so much pain, it's unbearable to them. These animals are normally in unsafe conditions and are usually malnourished. They would also make them live in such bad conditions, and if she's no longer able to reproduce, they will end up killing her. Then later, they would discard her like she was yesterday's trash when she no longer can produce any more puppies. But usually they would have animals but at the same time, what's weird is Usually, they would have animals as companions. They would have anything from a regular household pet to an exotic animal for a pet. But when Scientology would mistreat an animal, they are usually fair gaming one of their victims. They would do this by getting their private investigators. Then they would watch that pet. After Scientology would go and poison their former members' dog. By putting poison in their food. They also do this to their critics and journalists. Scientology would do this to journalists because they wrote an article on them that's not so positive. But hey, you know what? Oh well. And they would poison their critics' animals because they protest against their abusive practices. Both of those two organizations' treatment of animals is really bad. Scientology and the Mafia give these animals such a bad time that they finally end up suffering. Then, in conclusion, these animals would die a cruel death. And that would be a sad story of its own. Okay, and remember, the Aftermath Foundation is waiting for your call. So contact them at 188-3002, and at the UK location, call them at 1088 90 35. And the SPTV Foundation at first press 1 727-5797. And those two organizations will be giving you monetary aid along with a roof over your head and food on your table. So, and the Aftermath Foundation is willing to also pay for your education as well. And the SPTV Foundation will keep aiding you as long as you need it. So, hit the like, press subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow at the crafts table. Oh, sorry. By the way, you want to support my channel, go to still working on Buy Me a Coffee, but I got some good news. I have my merch store open. There will be a product line from eBay, and also on eBay, I am definitely working on all my bases, and I am going to try and have it up for you tomorrow. So hit the like, press subscribe, and I'll definitely see you tomorrow at my crafts table. Bye for now.